Hi, happy Monday. This is an email from Thomas. And Thomas says, I'm going to write a bit of a lengthy letter to you. I'm a mid-30s adult male who struggled with disordered eating for many years. It all started because I was obese and my health was suffering. My blood work confirmed this, and I vowed to lose the excess weight and begin lifting weights and improve my body composition. Up until this point, I'd done little physical activity. One thing led to another, and the eating disorder totally spiraled out of control, complete with eat and restrict binges cycles. My weight fluctuated into a healthy range. Again, I know you always say you can't judge a person's health by body size, but physical markers are excellent. But it's my brain that's a wreck. I struggle daily with orthorexic habits and exercise compulsions. I have begun eating 3 meals per day, consuming more calories, listening to my body's hunger cues, but that's one step of a lengthy journey. The eating disorder has damaged my relationship with my body, damaged my relationship with food, damaged my relationship with my family and significant other, and damaged my ability to function day to day. I have never been physically unwell or underweight, under what weight, I can hear you reply, from my eating disorder, and therein lies the sticking point for me. I'm terribly afraid of weight gain and recovery because I'm terribly afraid of returning to obesity based on listening to my body's food cravings. Last night, for instance, I was having difficulty sleeping and my thoughts turned to donuts. I wanted donuts. I wanted an apple fritter in particular. No, I wanted 5 apple fritters warmed in the microwave alongside a cold glass of milk. Instead, I finally realised that my body was craving more food, but of course I didn't have any apple fritters, nor would I allow myself to eat any if I did, and I ate some yogurt. That was not what my body wanted, but it did the trick and the cravings subside. My question for you is multifold. Number 1, I want to get stronger in the gym, which means I have to keep an eye on the foods that I'm consuming. Lots of protein to build muscle. How do I balance this with not getting into being a permanent calorie counter? All right, so Thomas, I'm going to first of all answer that question. What you've written here is, I want to get stronger in the gym, which means I have to keep an eye on the foods I'm consuming. That's not true. You do not have to keep an eye on the foods that you're consuming in order to get stronger. What that statement is, I need to get stronger in the gym, which means I have to keep an eye on the foods that I'm consuming. That's actually is what your brain believes. And the reason that your brain believes that is because that's what you have been marketed. So people make money off other people believing that in order to get stronger, they need to eat a certain way and develop certain habits. Whereas if you think about it, before gyms existed and before nutritional science existed, because that hasn't been around a very long time, people got stronger without gyms and without controlling the nutrients that they ate. And the reason that this was possible is because our bodies know how to build muscle. We don't need to intervene in that process. We don't need to micromanage that process. Of course, when people do intervene and micromanage, they can develop bodies that look abnormally ripped and weird. But that is, whenever you see that, and that's the image that you're marketed, whenever you see that, there is always years usually of a disordered way of being that has led to that person to achieve it. That story's never told. The story that's told is the look how ripped this person is. You never get to see behind the scenes and see how much they're restricting, how much they're compulsively moving and all of those things. So just be aware that your body does not need your help to work out how to build muscle. It does not need you to micromanage your food intake, to tell it what percentage of protein or whatever stuff it should be converting things into in order to build muscle. Your body knows how to do these things so much better than you do, and so much better than any science yet knows. One of the things that we have to establish when we want to recover from restrictive eating disorder is we have to establish trusting our bodies again. That's crucial for recovery, because what happens when you have a restrictive eating disorder is because you act as if you can't trust your body, your brain builds up the belief system that you can't trust your body. And that is also contributed by said marketing, because people make money off you not trusting your body. So the statement, if I want to get stronger in the gym, it means I have to keep an eye on the foods I'm consuming, is not true. Second question. I want to get healthy, nutrient-rich food. I want to eat healthy, nutrient-rich foods because they make my body feel better than eating junk. How do I balance this with a desire to have no food restrictions? Well, if you're not restricting food, if the nutrient, like, first of all, nutrient rich foods, there's just so much like kind of judgment in this whole sentence that I don't know where to start. First of all, you've labelled some foods as junk and you've labelled some foods as nutrient rich, whereas actually all foods are nutrient rich. They can be nutrient rich in different ways, but they're all nutrient rich. And in my opinion, like, I will call junk food, but I'm just having a laugh with that because I eat tons of junk food if that's what it really is. It's just a labelling, but I certainly don't judge it as food that's not good for me. Junk food is often very good for me. So how do you balance your desire? And so when you're talking about a desire, I want to eat healthy foods. When you're saying I have this desire to eat healthy foods, you're not actually talking about desire, you're talking about judgment. You have a desire to eat the foods that you judge to be healthy. That is not the same as I have a desire to eat these foods. And it sounds to me that if you're asking that question, what you probably do, like you said with the apple fritter example, you actually have a desire to eat junk food. And so it's not that you have a desire to always eat healthy foods. You also have a desire to eat junk foods, and that's what's causing this problem in your head, because you're judging junk food as food that's not good for you. And so that's where you need to start with that. Understand that while you have judgments over this food is good and this food is bad, if you are acting on those judgments, and by that I mean if you are trying to force yourself or want yourself to only want the healthy foods and not the others, then you will be restricting food. Unrestricted eating needs to be non-judgmental and understand that every food has its place, including the junk food. And for some of us, like myself, the junk food has such an important place. Question 3. How do I know what my body is genuinely craving against versus what it thinks it wants? In the apple fritter example, it's obviously a matter of wanting more calories now, and sugary fried dough provides ample fats and carbs to provide these calories. Nonetheless, the yogurt that I had was satiating and had a better macronutrient profile, high protein, which is conducive to muscular growth and maintenance. So you're told, says nutritional science, which I will remind you is an infant in the science world. We don't know enough about nutrition for you to be saying these things. And this is a thing that happens a lot with guys. Just going to be stereotypical now. It's true though. It happens a lot with girls too. I was a bit like this. I was a bit like you, Thomas. Thought I knew everything about nutritional science. And but guys in particular tend to latch on to nutritional science. And, as if that's going to explain everything. It doesn't explain anything. It's just, nutritional science is such a baby. I would prefer it wasn't even called science, because it really isn't. What it is, it's like, it should be called nutritional guessing, because that's what it is. Because our bodies are too complicated. All of our bodies process foods differently. Thomas, you and I could eat the exact same Mars bar, and we would both process it differently. Our blood sugar afterwards would likely be different. The amount of calories that we process would be different. It's incredible. Our bodies do things in a unique way. And so therefore we can't make these blanket statements about nutrition and say this, that, and the other. So you want to have a healthy relationship with food, Thomas, you have to stop all of this nutritional science bullshit, and you have to start listening to your body. So with the apple fritter example, your body wanted an apple fritter. It can be that simple. It can be. You don't have to weigh up the nutritional value of that. You don't have to break it down into sugars and carbs and calories and all that stuff. You can just say, my body wants an apple fritter right now. And I know that you are terrified of weight gain, and that's what all of these questions come down to, isn't it? You're trying to work out how you can eat without restriction and not gain weight, really, aren't you? And I can't answer that question for you, and there isn't really an answer to that question, because really what you need to be looking at, Thomas, is accepting your body diversity and accepting that we have these measures of health, and all of the measures of health that we have and all of the measures of health that doctors have been established off fat phobia. Doctors are taught to be terrified of obesity. You won't find a doctor unless they're a really good and very specific and nuanced health at every size doctor that's really going to help you determine what health means for you and your body. And I don't care how many things and measurements you've looked at, because it sounds to me like physically and mentally probably you were in such a better state when you were in a larger body. And you probably argue, well, physically the markers say this, that, and the other. And I can't tell you what your experience is, but I can tell you that mentally an eating disorder, a restrictive eating disorder, will rip you apart and it will ruin everything that is worth having in life. And so that's going to be the major question for you, Thomas, is, are you willing to accept your body without you acting on restriction? Can you do that? That's really the question I think that's behind all of this. And I understand the fear. And you may or may not believe it, but the fear of weight gain is there for all of us, regardless of what size body that we're in when we have a restrictive eating disorder. And we all have to move through that. And the path to being accepting your unsuppressed body weight in all different sizes of bodies, it still looks similar. And we all have to move through that. And so try not to distract yourself with these nutritional questions when the real question is like, this is between you and your body, your unsuppressed body weight. That's what the real question is, I think. And I think that that's what you need to be looking at, and not worrying about macronutrients and macronutrients or whether you're building muscle in the gym, because those are all just so peripheral. And answering those questions are not going to make you any happier, and it's not going to make you any healthier, and it's not going to make you, I don't think, any further forward in your recovery. You have to challenge and tackle and understand your fear of weight gain. And you have to start acknowledging your unsuppressed body weight and understanding it. And I know that's not the answer that you wanted to, but you did say in your email that I will probably not give you the answer that you wanted. So let us know how you're getting on. I'll